The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us again to another webinar. We're going to talk a little bit more about our educational-based businesses. And tonight's going to round out our four-part series, and we're going to talk a little bit about social media, online reputation management, and we also have a few testimonials and case studies to showcase tonight. So I'm excited to get to that point later on in the presentation. But we are going to just recap real quick about what we've talked about over the past 3 weeks. We talked about the educational businesses and recreational-based businesses and why it's so important for them to have a digital marketing strategy. But more than that, we talked about how they can have a digital marketing strategy, what you as a WebCenter owner can look for, and ways that you can consult with them and help them to understand digital marketing as a concept, and of course, how to leverage our teams of professionals to showcase and demonstrate our software. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit more about the digital marketing products of social media marketing, Facebook advertising, as well as online reputation management, but more so we'll talk about some statistics and why it's important that they access those digital media channels. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get going. We're going to talk, first of all, about social media. And it's important to understand if these companies and these businesses have a social strategy. Now, many of them are on social networks. They're on maybe Facebook. They may or may not be on Twitter. They might be on Instagram and some of the other social channels and social networks. But are they leveraging it? Meaning, are they not only on social networks, but is their content valuable? Are they posting consistently? And would they like to be on more social platforms? And are they interacting and engaging with their followers? And of course, is there a call to action? So these are things that you can ask in a consult appointment, a 15-minute consultation appointment, or you can do this in your fact-finding or in your relationship building. And when you're out having some conversations with these business owners, you can ask some of these questions. Again, let's repeat those. We can assume that they're on social networks. So we can ask them, what social media channels are you on or are you utilizing? And is the content valuable? That's something that you can do in your current research. You can actually log on to their channels when you're doing your research and see if there's some valuable posts. Is there some information maybe related to weather, facilities, staff, any reviews or testimonials? Are there photos? Are there videos? That's going to be the valuable content that people like to see. And are they posting consistently? Again, you can do that in your current research. You can see when the last time that they posted was and what kind of engagement or interaction they had with their followers. And of course, if you go to their website, you might see a social badge for maybe Facebook and Instagram, but you can actually see what other social networks they're on. And when you're speaking with them, you can ask them if they're tapping into or planning on tapping into some of the other major social channels. There's so many. We'll talk about a couple of them here. And of course, is there some engagement? That seems to be the most important thing to ask, is how are you interacting or engaging with your followers? It's one thing to just post and have blanket posts on social networks, but if there's a comment, is there a like? Are they actually going back and engaging with the person that commented? Maybe they're doing a direct message, but we don't see that when we look at their page. So it's important to see what kind of interaction there is. And of course, we don't want to have a salesy or promotional type of page, but are there certain posts that's a call to action? There's actually a call to action button that they can put on their Facebook page. But is there a call to action? Enrollment coming soon, or deadline approaching. Spaces filling fast. Get your seats while they're still available. Tickets available through Friday. Whatever it is, there's got to be a call to action to drive some sense of urgency. Right? So social media, we know, has really taken over as the fastest growing channel in marketing. 85% of customers expect businesses to be active on social media. So when we say, are they on social media, it's more important if they're active, right? Are they active on social media? Social media has 100% higher lead to close ratio than outbound marketing, which is direct marketing, targeted marketing in terms of maybe direct sales, cold calling, telemarketing, and those types of outbound strategies, or even outbound advertising. Restaurants with 3.5 stars on Yelp are 63% more likely to be full than those with just 3 stars. That half a star really makes a difference. We know that Facebook is the most popular social network, but 83% of marketers indicate that social media is important for their business, and your educational businesses are no different. So what platform should they be on? Right here are 5 major platforms. We've got Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and Google+. Let's look at the audience. Really, they want to pick the social channel or social network that can speak to their primary audience. So, Facebook really crosses all demographics. Twitter, young adults. LinkedIn, more business to business professionals and information being shared there. Pinterest for mostly the higher demographic is women, foodies, crafters. So you take maybe a cooking school, right? Or maybe a pottery school or an art school, something like that. Pinterest might be a great place for them to target. And of course, Google Plus, the important reason any business should play, I say, on Google Plus is because it's Google. And anytime that you want to engage with the largest social or search network, I say, you should also be on some of their other platforms. In this case, it's Google Plus. Mostly comprised of men, students, and software developers. But again, something that can tie closely to the Google's Maps listing. So it's important to have that branded page on Google+. So Facebook, it's good for sharing text, photos, videos, links. We know that. Twitter's great for sharing news, text updates, links to information like blogs. And we talked about content marketing just last week. LinkedIn, again, sharing news, product information, testimonials. Pinterest, good for pinning photos, videos, and graphics, right? Very visual network there. Google+, good for sharing text updates, links, photos, videos. Facebook, best for sharing and engaging content. Twitter, sharing original or curated content. LinkedIn, great for thought leadership. So that's good for more institutions, maybe professors from an institution posting some information to attract other professors or certain students. And Pinterest, how-to tips, ebooks. And Google Plus just helps increasing your searchability and expertise. Now, there's a couple that have been left off here. We will talk about Snapchat, Instagram, as well as YouTube. And I think those we shouldn't ignore because they are such huge networks, especially when we talk about education and recreational-based businesses. So some companies are asking, is Facebook really worth it? Right? Well, Facebook sends 82% of social media traffic to longer articles, whether it's on a website or a blog. We talked again about content marketing and social networks and posting on Facebook can drive traffic to those pieces of content. Facebook posts with images see more than 2 times, right? 2.3 times more engagement than those without images. So a picture is worth 1,000 words, and we can't dismiss that. Facebook continues to have the most engaged users. 70% log on daily, including 43% who do so several times a day. And that was back in 2015. It really has become a way of life, just as if, decades ago, people would turn on the TV or turn on the radio. Facebook is that channel now that people are checking multiple times per day. Facebook, 72% of adult internet users use Facebook. 74% of people say that they use Facebook for professional purposes. And in the past 2 years, content consumption on Facebook has increased 57%, and 76% of people who use their Facebook feed to find interesting content. Facebook has over 1.13 billion daily active users. Now, do you want to spew out these statistics? No. Do you want to memorize these statistics? No. But you want to have an idea of why Facebook is an important channel for these companies to engage in. Now, let's talk about Instagram, which was purchased by Facebook. Instagram currently has over 800 million monthly active users, nearing 1 billion. It's among the major social networks. Only Facebook and YouTube have more people logging in each month. So when we look at that, Facebook and YouTube, huge networks. Obviously, YouTube owned by Google. Facebook really taking ownership of all social networking, really. And of course, purchasing Instagram was a part of that as well. And the number of daily Instagram users jumped to 500 million, second to only Facebook from 200 million, very quickly. So they've more than doubled their user base very rapidly. 59% of Instagrammers in the US are under age 30. So there's where we really want to talk about target marketing and the right audience in certain educational, recreational-based businesses. 18 to 29-year-olds comprise 59% of users. So more than half of Instagram's users are between the ages of 18 to 29. So any education or facility or institution that's trying to target 18 to 29-year-olds, they need to be on Instagram, right? 30 to 49-year-olds account for 33%, a third. So we talk about those that might be parents, might be looking for their children and extracurricular activities. And also, these are the people that are in their earning years, right? These are your consumers. So a third of the population is on Instagram, so it can't be ignored. 80% of users follow a business on Instagram, right? So that's the majority. The majority are actually following businesses on Instagram. So many businesses say, well, I shouldn't have to be on Instagram. It's too social for me. It's too visual. But look at it. 80% of users are following a business, and look at the target demographic in the stats above, right? 60% of users find new products on Instagram, and a product could be a service or a class. Maybe it's someone that's looking for maybe yoga lessons or wants to start equestrian classes or something like that, something new. They're going to engage and learn about it on these social networks. Instagram users are 70% more likely to make a mobile purchase. And that is critical. When we talk about call to action and we want to talk about how social media can drive revenue, there it is. Instagram users are 70% more likely to make a mobile purchase. Very, very important. So again, these companies can't ignore Instagram. And here's another one, Snapchat. Right? So are you snapping? Snapchat has 150 million daily active users, so much fewer than the other social networks. However, every second, over 8,000 photos are shared on Snapchat. 52% of Snapchat users are under the age of 25. So again, look at that target market, that target demographic. And 30% of US millennial internet users use Snapchat regularly. It's actually a communication tool in that demographic. It's not just for pushing out content. They're actually communicating with that in direct messaging. So we live in this scroll world. So it's all about capturing the attention of the users, right? So almost every post should include a photo or a video. You know, we've all heard a picture is worth 1,000 words, and visual content is 40 times more likely to get shared on social media than other types of content. 40 times. Articles with an image once every 75 to 100 words got double the number of social shares than articles with fewer images. So last week we talked about content marketing and blogging, and it's very important to have those images interspersed into these articles. Infographics are liked and shared on social media 3 times more than any other type of content. So these education-based businesses should really look at developing some type of infograph or infographic that they can share on these social networks, right? And if a picture is worth 1,000 words, then a video is worth 1,000,000. Product video has 4 times as many customers would rather watch that video than a product than read about it, right? So they'd actually rather watch a video than read about it. Think about that. Most of the websites that we come across today are very text heavy. Some of these social media posts, very text heavy. Blog, very text heavy. So we want to not only engage with photos, but we also want to engage with video. Almost 50% of internet users look for videos related to a product or service before ever visiting a store or location. 53% of smartphone users feel more favorable towards companies whose mobile sites or apps provide instructional video content. Look at that word, instructional. We're talking about educational-based businesses. And if they offer some free content in video nature, that's great. And then they can also have some that are reserved for their clientele if they want. I think of maybe personal trainers or artists and some other uses where how-to or instructional do-it-yourself types of videos would be valuable. 4 in 5 consumers believe that demo videos are helpful. Shoppers who view video are 1.81 times more likely to purchase than non-viewers. The point of the matter is having a video is important. And if they don't have any video, it's time to start shooting some. They can use their smartphone to capture some video. They can hire a videographer. Whatever it is, they need to find a video strategy. Very, very important. Could even be a slideshow with some voiceover or music. That would count as a video if that's the least they could do. Now, YouTube, obviously owned by Google. On mobile alone, in an average week, YouTube reaches more 18-plus-year-olds during primetime TV hours than any cable TV network, right? On mobile alone, in an average week, YouTube reaches more individuals, more adults, during primetime TV hours than any cable TV network. That is huge. 2/3 of YouTube users watch YouTube on a second screen while watching TV at home. That second screen or third screen phenomenon. Someone's in front of their TV, they've got their smartphone, their tablet, their laptop. They've got multiple screens right in front of them. So it's important to engage with these users on these devices. In an average month, 8 out of 10 18 to 49-year-olds watch YouTube. 80%, 80% your adult consumer base is watching YouTube. Among millennials, YouTube accounts for 2/3 of the premium online video watched across all devices, and the time people spend watching YouTube on their TV has more than doubled year over year. So you're looking at these smart TVs coming out even, and people are using not only streaming video, but they're also accessing YouTube on their TV as their primary source of content, right? So it's obvious that these social channels are so critical to this category of business. Educational, instructional, recreational types of businesses need to engage on social media, but they also need to have content, both photos, infographics, as well as a video strategy. So that's so important to share that information and be able to talk to that when you're speaking with an educational-based business. Now, another important part of digital marketing, and certainly in the educational-based realm, is online reputation management. People are looking for reviews, and let's talk a little bit more about that. Consumer reviews increase search engine optimization value and drive quality traffic to your website. 88% of consumers read online reviews to determine the quality of a local business. 85% of consumers said that they read up to 10 reviews. 72% said that positive reviews make them trust a local business more. And 88% trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. And that is an incredible statistic right there. Whether someone knows someone else or not, they have trusted in a stranger's point of view online in a review. 88% trust online reviews as much as a personal recommendation. And that's why reviews are so important. So, it's all about customer service. Customers may forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And unfortunately, many people will give a rating, 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars. But when it comes to reviews, more people are willing to write a negative review than a positive review. So it's important that as a business owner, they make it easy for consumers and clients to share positive reviews and testimonials. And they should also be asking for it at the point of checkout, the point of sale, every email. Please leave a review. Please engage with us. Give us some feedback. Have a feedback form on their website. As much as they can, they want to attract as many reviews as possible. And they've got to be visible on review sites, right? Whether it's Yelp, Google+, TripAdvisor, Angie's List, all these different review sites for different categories. But make sure their business is listed on the sites, but also they should monitor the activity. What's being said? What's being said about their business and their product or service across the internet, not only on social networks, but on these major review sites. And ask your customers to review you on those platforms. Now, the other thing that's important to do on these platforms is to also manage the listing or the directory information. Business name, business owner, contact information, website, email address, location, map directions, whatever it is. There's so many of these directories that are just pulling content from directory sites such as Manta, Local Edge, Yellow Pages, right? There's so many of these directory sites, and a lot of these sites are just taking that information and populating their database for search engine optimization value on their end, but a lot of it is misinformation. So as a business owner, it's important for them to capture that and make sure they claim those listings and correct any of these any of this information. So are there multiple locations? Is it the correct contact information? Is it a claimed business listing? Are there any discrepancies? Are there any reviews, right? So a lot of these reviews can simply be found just by going to Google and doing a search for the business name, and you'll actually find them listed, or you can search for the keyword and you'll find results like this: the best 10 preschools in XYZ location, best preschools in XYZ from care.com, from Yelp, right? We talked about that. So all of these reviews you'll also see is noted sometimes in the Page description. Check out the top 26 preschools near, in this case, Manchester, New Hampshire. Compare rates and read reviews for free to find the best location for you. Now, when you're doing current research, that's a great place to drive some of your candidate lists so you can start building relationships with those businesses as well. There we have 26 new names to add to our list, right? So it's another component of the review sites and the listings is to make sure that you're paying attention. Now, it's also important that business owners know that they shouldn't delete negative reviews. That's the kind of like the knee-jerk reaction is to just say, oh, I'm going to get rid of all my negative reviews. But people trust reviews more when they see some negative reviews mixed in. And if all they see is positive reviews, it causes concern about censorship. And they think maybe staff members, family members, or businesses are paid to just go and put positive reviews and they delete all the negative ones. So you want to have an honest reputation. And the most important thing that these businesses can do if there is a negative review is respond to that negative review on that review site. They should reach out to that user and ask for more information, ask for a phone call, ask for an email, more information. Let's look into it more. I'm sorry you had that experience. Because them responding to a negative review does more for their positive reputation than if they dismiss it entirely or if they delete it. So we have so many products that we've already been talking about for this category of business, but our digital, social, and web management products can really fit the needs of all of these businesses. So you need to know what we have to tailor your conversations, right? And that's why these trainings are so important. That's why the marketing manual is so important. That's why our blog articles and our videos are so important. Our B2B catalog, because when you get in conversations, the more you know about these types of products and services and the reason why they're important, you can speak intelligently about them when you're in a conversation and not make it sound like a sales pitch. So once you've talked about this and you've engaged with a business owner and you've had a consultation, the close is very simple. Close is, I can see that you're doing a great job with your online marketing. I can see that you're paying attention to these areas as we've discussed. We also noticed that there are a couple areas of concern and areas of improvement, and I did share some tips with you. But what I'd like to do now is schedule some time for you to speak with one of our web specialists, one of our search engine specialists, one of our social media marketing specialists, one of our Facebook advertising specialists, one of our Google advertising specialists, one of our online reputation management specialists. You get the idea. And what they can do is they can answer all your questions, but show you how we can address those concerns that you just mentioned, whether it's the review site or search engine placement, right? So it's as simple as making a strong referral. You don't have to be the specialist. You're going to refer them to the specialist to answer their questions. And you put weight in the referral by saying that you work with a great company that specializes in this for education-based businesses, and I can guarantee that you'll learn something to move your business forward. You're offering a solution to the problem. You're not offering the product. You're not offering the service. What you're offering is information, valuable information and content and training and education information that's going to help their business. So it takes all the pressure off of you to answer any questions because you can always fall back on the specialist. That's a great question. I'm not as in tune to that level of social media management. However, I know that our specialists can address that for you. So what day works best for you, Thursday or Friday? What time works best for you, mornings or afternoons? When should I have the three of us get on a phone call? Right? So that's how you're going to assume the appointment. It's like assuming a sale. The sale is the appointment. You're assuming. So what you say depends on what you learned during your conversation, your consult, and your research. And you can use that information to build that strong reason to meet with them. Again, it might sound something like, I can see how you're concerned about your online reputation, where we noticed that some of your information on the directory sites was incorrect, but also there were some negative reviews that you weren't even sure about. And sure, there's plenty of positive reviews, but let's find a way that we can address those negative ones. What I would like to do is offer a conversation with an online reputation management specialist. And this is all they do. They really focus on helping businesses like yours address these negative reviews and really improve their online reputation. So what they can do is answer any questions and see how they might be able to help you when it comes to those negative reviews that might be negatively impacting your business. What day works best for you for a phone call or a conference call with the three of us? Would it be later in the week or would it be morning or afternoons? So it's that assumptive close into an appointment. And you'll find that very rarely do people dismiss that appointment because they see it as a very valuable appointment to help their business. So you'll actually go through the administrative calendar, the sales calendar, right? You'll log into your WebCenter, you click on the sales calendar, and you simply follow the steps to set up an appointment for a website demo or for a DMP, digital marketing product demo. And once completed, it will assign the product specialist to call you at the scheduled time and conference your candidate in. So what do you do when you actually have that appointment time? Right? Well, be sure to add notes to the sales appointment wizard or upload your 15-minute assessment sheets. There is a button on the sales appointment wizard that actually asks you to upload a document so you can scan and upload your 15-minute consultation form there. But you want to communicate with the product specialist. When they get you on the phone prior to calling your candidate, you can share some information. You know, I was speaking with Judy last week. She owns the XYZ nursery. She has a lot of competition in town. She's been there for 30 years, but she knows she's missing out on social media and doesn't quite know how to manage it. So she's really interested in social media, but also alongside that, she realizes that it might be important to get a bigger boost. So she's also interested in, say, Facebook advertising, right? Share that information because the product specialist doesn't know anything about your client unless you share it, right? Product specialist will then conference your candidate in, and your job is to do a great introduction and edify, right? The line is going to click over, your candidate is going to answer the phone, and you're going to say, hey, Judy, I'm so happy to have you on the phone today. This is Jason Pelland with MA Web Centers. We also have our incredible, and you give the person's name, who's our top social media expert that is here to answer some questions for you and to introduce you to some services that might help you. Right? And then your job is to put yourself on mute, listen, and learn as you earn. And you'll talk to any top WebCenter owner and any of our certified WebCenter trainers, and they'll tell you that the majority of their education about this division, our products and services, all came from attending these sales appointments with our product specialists. And that's the best place to learn. So what happens after that? Your product specialist will close the sale for you. They'll actually sell the product for you or conduct a follow-up on your behalf. And they'll actually do a couple follow-ups. And even if it gets pushed out, they might give you a call or an email and ask you if there's any status update on that client. Your job is to be a great customer manager, right? Send a follow-up piece, maybe a blog article, a video, a YouTube video, any information that comes to mind that might be valuable to them. Maybe also introduce them to the B2B catalog, another great tool that we have. And when a sale happens, you'll get the congratulations email, but the job is just starting. Your job is to keep the relationship going. So your job is to make sure that you're engaged in the design center process if they purchased a website with the design package. Your job is to make sure that they're communicating with their project manager. Your job is to make sure that you're CC'd on that communication. You can do that when the appointment closes or the sale happens. And then you want to check in with your client. You don't want to sell a product or service and then check in with your client 12 to 18 months later. There's a good opportunity that there are other digital marketing companies that are going to contact your client and try and steal business from you. So that won't happen if you keep a good relationship. But also, if anything happens to come up like it does, they're going to be more comfortable sharing information with you, and you can really be a great liaison between MA Web Centers and the client. So you want to make sure that you are present with all of those clients. You don't want to just do it as a set it and forget it. You wouldn't do that in any physical product sale, just sell the product once and hope they order online for the rest of their life. You're going to be engaged with that customer. But also what it does, it gives you a chance to not only follow up on this conversation, but also in future conversations about any of their digital marketing needs, right? So email them, call them to check in, conduct the design wizard with them, work with the project managers, schedule a tutorial and overview of their dashboard, promote their site when it goes live, right? Be their biggest cheerleader, and they'll love that. Edify tech support, try sharing the magnets or emailing them with the graphic with the information, and if at all possible, send them leads or referrals if or when it's appropriate, because people do business with people they know, like, and trust, and when you can offer that to them, they're going to really build a lot of trust in this relationship, and this is when you're going to get more referrals from them as well. So what I'd like to do now is I'm going to pause this real quick, and I've got a great case study I'm going to share. And I'm also going to get our next case study speaker on the line as long as I can unmute her. So Denise, what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you unmute yourself if that's okay. Perfect. There we go. So before we get to Denise, I do have another case study. Unfortunately, she couldn't join us. She's from Troy, Michigan, and her name is Kim Schott. She's one of our top web center owners in the company. She's always in our top 10 in the world for website sales and digital marketing sales. And unfortunately, she couldn't be on tonight. But she has a client here for community services. And their challenge was that they were trying to build awareness of their organization, of their goals, their mission statement, and any upcoming events within the local community, and really had a hard time spreading the word of any local happenings. So it came to have a consultation and talk a little bit about social media. And really the solution came down to running targeted ads on Facebook with people living in the community, right? Targeted geographically to build the page likes and post local content to get people interested in local activities, as well as the nonprofit itself. And what's incredible about this Facebook advertising and social media management client is, look at this, in just a short 3 months, there was a 139% increase in Facebook page likes, which got them over 1,019 likes in just 3 months. Think of that for a business looking for an increase in awareness. In 3 short months to have over 1,000 new page likes is unbelievable. So I know we talk a little about our website and our website design process, and we also talk about our digital marketing products and services, but we don't share enough of these stats, and I think it's incredible. So congratulations to Kim and MA Web Centers for doing such a great job working with this client. But again, so if you know someone who is talking about having struggle building awareness and being known in their community, it might not always just be through search, right? Think of this, just through social media and Facebook, the amount of impact we were able to have. And in this case, not only on the business or the nonprofit itself, but also the community, right? This is a community nonprofit. So this service that we're able to provide actually helped the entire community. And that's so, so incredible. So think to yourself, what types of businesses, and in this case it was an educational based nonprofit, but what kind of businesses could use that kind of impact? Now next we've got a couple different stories and testimonials from Denise Marshall. And Denise, again, is another one of our top Web Center owners. And you'll be hearing more from Denise over the next year, I'm sure, because she is just doing a great job. So I invited Denise to come on tonight and share a little bit about her clients. And the first that we're going to actually showcase is her company, Just Kids Childcare LLC. So Denise, are you on the line with us tonight?
I am.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for joining us. And, I was just looking at the information, putting these slides that you sent over, and wow, you're doing a great job. I'm so proud of you, and we're so fortunate to have you with us.
Thank you.
So what I'd like to do is just have you, and there's some questions here on the slides. Basically, how do you know these people? What information did you know? How did the process go? But without really just going through the bullet points, why don't you just give everyone on tonight's webinar an overview of this client, Just Kids Childcare, and any tips or feedback that you have as it relates to this client. That'd be great.
Okay, so I met Just Kids Childcare when my children, who are now 19, 22, and 24 years old, when they were 3, 4, and 5 years old. I was looking for a daycare center for my kids that was educationally purposed. And they knew what kind of person I was back then, and still today. I'm a professional photographer. And when I started selling websites in 2008, 2015, when I bought my web center, I told them, of course, and they came to me and said, well, we want our very first website. And I said, oh, I would love to do that. And they said, well, you have to use your creativity in the website, and you have to show us how we can be found, because the population seems to be dropping off for little kids, and we need people to find us in the Bucks County, Hunterdon County areas basically within a 15-mile radius. We're located by the Delaware River, where George Washington crossed the Delaware. So to give you an idea of where we are, we have New Jersey by us, we have Pennsylvania, and we have two very big counties that they're drawing from. So the very first thing that I did with them is, well, let me just go back. So they reached out to me and they said they wanted their first website, and I said, that's great. In order to have your first website, you need to have a logo. So I worked with a graphic designer, and she designed a logo for them, and they chose their colors, and we went through their colors that they wanted, and they made it fun. They wanted the kids to have part of the website and making the website theirs. So every page of the website has something related to a child care center, you know, the child's drawings and the child's Legos and their building blocks, and you know, on our testimonial page it shows the building blocks and then the testimonials. And that's how we started the whole conversation. And then we did the website demo, and they were sold. They loved the whole thing, and I was part of the entire process with them and guided them with MA Web Centers, and it was an incredible experience. And that was
great.
Just Kids in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, that's great.
I will tell you that the other thing about getting them verified, I make sure that every business that I work with is a Google verified business. So when you're looking for them on social media, or you're doing a Google search, you get a little V, a little circular V. It's usually in blue, and it shows that they're a verified business, meaning they've received the postcard to their actual physical brick and mortar store, and Google can put that little place setting map pin in there to show that they are definitely where they say they are, and that's an important thing for search engine optimization.
Wow, I love it. So there's so much to take from that, and I don't know about you all on the line, but I'm jotting down some notes. First of all, I think did a great job. Talk about building a great relationship with the business, but also the color scheme, the branding, bringing in and really engaging with the audience, which is the children, and having their information there. But going the step further as a customer manager, and making sure, even asking that, are you a Google verified business? And if they ask what that means, just tell them to go to, google.com and type in business listing, and it'll have them claim their listing, and they can either get a PIN code mailed to them, or they can get a phone call. But that is so important. But that's something that they can do on their own, but you made sure that they went ahead and did that. And talk about being a great consultant and customer manager. So keep up the great work. And I know that we've got a couple more here, so I'm going to actually go ahead and now have you introduce us to Music Mountain Theater and tell us a little bit more about this client as well.
Oh, Music Mountain Theater is a really great theater. It used to be the Downtown Performing Arts Center in Lambertville, New Jersey, and then they were the Open Air Theater in Washington's Crossing, New Jersey. And the Open Air Theater, just like it sounds, was an open air theater. So when there was rain or something like that, they couldn't perform. So they finally raised enough money, and they built a brand new 250-seat theater in Lambertville, New Jersey. It's a community theater, and I had been talking to them on and off for years because they work with the local high school kids in their play performances. And I drop a few, you really need a new website, your website's really not good, nobody can find you, subtle hints, but I still did some nice hints. Anyway, sorry. And then
You're
one
honest.
day,
Let's just say you're honest, right?
I'm honest. and then one day, the executive director reached out to me, and she said, all right, we're willing to sit down and do a website demo. And I said, okay, yay. So because they're a nonprofit, I decided to do it a completely different way. and I did a website demo with them, and it was really fantastic, and they loved it. And their current website developer, he was there, and he was like, oh no, this is impossible. And I was like, no, it's only impossible if you think it's impossible. But when you have 24/7 full-on support, by calling a 1-800 number, nothing is impossible. So finally they listened to me, they bought the website, and then we sat down and we worked on it together. And I have to tell you that that process was pretty incredible for me, because I personally had never been on an artistic website like this before. The theaters, all these theater companies use their logos as their home page. And I was like, no, I don't really know that technology, so I'm going to leave a home page in there. And then all the other pages that we did as well. I think this was a 53-page website with e-commerce, and it was a challenge, but we did an incredible job together, and it was a lot of fun. And yes, I did help them build this website, and I loved every minute of it. And then after it was all done, I sat down with them, and every board member had a different device, either had a laptop, a desktop, an iPad, a Kindle, an iPhone, and an Android. And we went through every page of the website to make sure everything was fitting on the screens properly before we launched it out through social media to tell everyone about the new website.
Wow, just another great example. And in this case, I love how it was also tying in support in terms of why that is such an integral part of what we offer on the platform. Having the web developer come on, and we have those experiences where that it's new to them, it's a different platform, so there's that resistance to change. But when you encourage them to just see past that and work with our teams, it can really be the best thing for the client. And you've done another great job here. So let's talk a little bit about Bucks County Academy of Fencing.
So Bucks County Academy of Fencing, my now 22-year-old fenced there when he did the Taste of Fencing class. I think he was 10 years old, and then he fenced in high school. So they have an incredible story behind them. Not only did I know them because my child fenced there, but I knew them from being in the community. I started a big networking group in the community, so people know me in the community. And I happened to run into the owner one day, and she said, oh my goodness, I completely forgot that you sold websites. I need your help. And I said, okay. So I went to her business. We sat down, and I looked at their current website, and I said, well, your website's pretty nice. And she said, well, I'm happy that you think so. It's next to impossible to use. She said, on one screen, you have to fill in all these forms, and then on another screen is the actual website. But when you don't get it perfectly right, then it doesn't show up properly on the current website. So I said, all right, let's do a website demo. So I sat her down, we did a website demo. It took like 3 months for her to finally buy the website. And then I said, come on, I'm a photographer, let me get in there and help out. And she said, all right. So while I did not take this picture, this was originally a completely different picture, and I did my little editing jobs that I do, and I made it black and white because their logo is black and white, and I just felt like fencing shouldn't be so colorful because all the fencers are wearing all white and they have their silver swords, and I'm an artistic person, and that's what I ran with. And it was a lot of fun to work with MA Web Centers on this project, because on one of their pages they have a calendar, and we did the calendar, I don't know, I think we did it like 4 or 5 different ways until they finally figured out exactly what they wanted it to look like. And it was a process, and I worked with her. I basically held her hand, and worked with her on the whole process, and it was a really great experience. And now her husband, who's the guy in the center there, he just did a Romeo and Juliet performance, and there was a sword scene in it, and she went and videotaped him. So I'm waiting for the videotape so I can sit down with her. We can add a new page onto their website, and she can embed the video, and I'm going to show her how to do all that. So she's all excited about that. So there are so many different ways to make to make her website more interactive. And you were talking about video earlier, how important that is. It's so important. I can't stress to everyone how important it is, because you want the user to stay on your website for more than 30 seconds in order to get that Google search engine optimization. The more time that the person is on that website, the higher the ranking you get. That's why a lot of websites now for hotels are showing the hotel rooms instead of in a single picture. They're showing in a 30-second video, because once you don't like the single room with the double beds, then you can see the king size bed, and that keeps you on for another 30 seconds. So interactive websites are key, and that's what I'm trying to do with the Bucks County Academy of Fencing.
No, that's great, and I'm glad you added that point. Google calls it dwell time, and there was just a blog article on mawebcenters.com, which is blog.mawebcenters.com, and talks about the top 6 tips for SEO, and that's another great resource that you can share that adds credibility to your candidates or even your existing clients to go back and talk to them about the importance of those types of things. And again, it's not about you selling, it's about you providing information that's going to help their business. Denise, what I love is that on this client, you're actually talking about how it wasn't the website design, it was really the functionality that the client was looking for. So sometimes we look at, what happens if, I'm doing my research and it's a beautiful website? Well, ask them what they like about it, ask them what they don't like about it, because it might be a functionality issue, might be a user issue, might be they're paying too much for it. Maybe their web designer is no longer with the company or whatever it is. So we have to dig deeper than just what's at face value. We can only do that by asking questions. So great job at the consult there. And then, of course, I love when I'm hearing how you're so engaged in working with MA Web Centers to kind of hold your clients' hands, but also work with MA Web Centers. And in the process, you have a lot of enjoyment, and you've learned a tremendous amount. And you can tell because of the amount of clients and referrals that you're getting. So great job, and congratulations on all of your success as a Web Center owner. So I want to thank you again, Denise, for being on tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So that's where we're going to kind of leave it off with this series, everyone. But before we can really just close it out, we want to talk about, as a recap, it really is time to take action. We talk about the 5 C's. First, it's the candidate list. Then it's doing some current research. Then it's actually contacting your candidate and booking a consultation. And once you have enough information, you're going to close them into an appointment with product specialists. And from that point forward, you become a customer manager. So what do you need to do to get prepared? Well, make sure you have all the pieces downloaded or ordered that you need, right? The 15-minute consult sheets, the B2B catalog, the magnets, the 12-week action plan, the marketing manual. We've made it very easy. If you simply just go to mawc411.com and click on the launch tab or the launch page, right at the top are the top 6 downloads that you should all have. From there, you're going to follow the system and set a goal, follow the 5 C's, leverage the teams, and repeat. Right? So really, you can succeed with Web Centers and increase your confidence and skill, but you're going to do that through activity. Right? We always talk about attitude, activity, and skill, and you can know all the information, and you can learn all the information, and you can get trained and educated, but without taking action, right, you're not going to be able to increase the skill set necessary, which is really communication, and communicating this type of information with a business owner to basically just schedule an appointment with a product specialist. So we don't want to make it seem like it's difficult. It's just about engaging in conversation, but until you engage in conversation, the wheel can't start turning. So I'm going to make sure that you also know that we've got an incredible Web Center Training 101 coming up in the very near future. And you're going to want to make sure that you stay in touch with your GMTSS calendar in your local area to find out when your next Web Center Training 101 and 201s are, so that you can make sure that you can stay engaged and learn as much as you can and move forward. We have different workshops in each of those trainings to move your business forward. So I want to thank you for being on tonight.